Hello there, my loves. Welcome to Manifesting the Miraculous. This is Aurelia from Aureliaslight, and I am so happy to have you here. In this episode, we are going to be discussing the power of forgiveness, something that is so important for us, especially at this time of humanity's awakening. Now, before we go into that, I would love to ask and request that you subscribe if you find anything on this channel that you resonate with. So subscribe and consider a like button and a comment so that I know where you are from around the world. Again, all of these things help us channel creators with the algorithm and helps our channels grow. So I thank you so much. In this episode, we are going to be discussing forgiveness and the power of your subconscious mind and how it affects forgiveness. And I'm going to be reading a chapter from Dr. Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and how forgiveness, again, is pivotal to a life of great manifestation and really living out our dreams. So in other episodes, I have read Dr. Joseph Murphy's work before. And again, he was an acclaimed writer. He was a minister of the Church of Divine Science in Los Angeles. He has affected and changed people's lives all over the world and was considered one of the best-selling New Thought authors in the mid-20th century. His work has influenced people like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and Earl Nightingale. So again, I've addressed more about him in other episodes, so you feel free to refer back to them. Before I get into reading this chapter of this episode, I wanted to share a little bit about forgiveness from my end and experience. Now, going through my life, there have been many challenges. I'm sure you've had them as well. And again, as an earthly being, we are here to expand our heart and learn how to love with uncondition, compassionately and openly. And we have to go through forgiveness to get there. So sometimes it's really challenging to forgive people that have wronged us. And, when we know that things have not been on our side and things happen, we can build up resentment. And again, it is forgiveness that frees us. Once I started to learn how to truly forgive, again, during my awakening in 2007 and 8, I started down this path. And once I really understood the power of forgiveness and not holding on and not resenting and just allowing, my manifestations got quicker. And it's just because that holding on to the lower frequencies that don't allow forgiveness to happen slow down our manifestation and keep us from connecting truly and purely with God. So during this episode, I would love if you have something in your life that isn't working out, ask yourself, who am I not forgiving? And it could be something as simple as yourself. So without further ado, how to use your subconscious mind for forgiveness. Life plays no favorites. God is life, and his life principle is flowing through you this moment. God loves to express himself as harmony, peace, beauty, and joy, and abundance through you. This is called the will of God, or the tendency of life. If you set up resistance in your mind to the flow of life through you, this emotional congestion will get snarled up in your subconscious mind and cause all kinds of negative conditions. God has nothing to do with unhappy or chaotic conditions in the world. Man's negative and destructive thinking brings about all of these conditions. Therefore, it is silly to blame God for your troubles or sickness. Many persons habitually set up mental resistance to the flow of life by accusing and reproaching God for the sin, sickness, and suffering of mankind. Others cast the blame on God for their pains or their aches and loss of loved ones, personal tragedies, and accidents. They are angry at God and they believe He is responsible for their misery. As long as people entertain such negative concepts about God, they will experience the automatic negative reaction from their subconscious minds. Actually, such people do not know that they are actually even punishing themselves. Otherwise, they cannot go forward into a healthy, happy, or creative activity. The minute these people entertain a God of love in their minds and hearts, and when they believe that God is their loving Father who watches over them, cares for them and guides them, sustains and strengthens them, this concept and belief about God or the life principle will be accepted by their subconscious mind, and they will find themselves blessed in countless ways. Life always forgives you. Life forgives you when you cut your finger. The subconscious intelligence within you sets about immediately to repair it. New cells build bridges over the cut. Should you take some tainted food by error, life forgives you and causes you to regurgitate it in order to preserve you. If you burn your hand, the life principle reduces the edema and congestion and gives you new skin, tissue, and cells. Life holds no grudges against you, and it is always forgiving you. Life brings you back to health, vitality, harmony, and peace. If you cooperate by thinking in harmony with nature, negative, hurtful memories or bitterness and ill will clutter up and impede the free flow of the life principle in you. How he banished that feeling of guilt. I knew a man who worked every night until about 1 o'clock in the morning. He paid no attention to his 2 boys or his wife. He was always too busy working hard. He thought people should pat him on the back because he was working so arduously and persistently past midnight every night. He had a blood pressure of over 200 and was filled with guilt. Unconsciously, he proceeded to punish himself by working hard, and he completely ignored his children. A normal man does not do that. He is interested in his boys and in their development. He does not shut out his wife. I explained to him why he was working so arduously. There is something eating you inside, otherwise you would not act this way. You are punishing yourself, and you have to learn to forgive yourself. He did have a deep sense of guilt, and it was towards his brother. I explained to him that God was not punishing him, but that he was punishing himself. For example, if you misuse the laws of life, you will suffer accordingly. If you put your hand on a naked charged wire, you will get burned. The forces of nature are not evil. It is your use of them that determines whether they have a good or evil effect. Electricity is not evil. It depends on how you use it, whether to burn down a structure or light up a home. The only sin is ignorance of the law, and the only punishment is the automatic reaction of man's misuse of the law. If you misuse the principle of chemistry, you may blow up the office or the factory. If you strike your hand on a board, you may cause your hand to bleed. The board is not for that purpose. Its purpose may be to lean upon or to support your feet. This man realized that God does not condemn or punish anyone, and that all his suffering was due to the reaction of his subconscious mind to his own negative and destructive thinking. He had cheated his brother at one time, and the brother has now passed on. Still, he was so full of remorse and guilt. I asked him, "Would you cheat your brother now?" He said, "No. Do you feel you were justified at the time?" And his reply was, "Yes. But you would not do it now?" He added, "No, I am helping others to know how to live." I added the following comment: "You have a greater reason and understanding now. Forgiveness is to forgive yourself. Forgiveness is getting your thoughts in line with the divine law of harmony. Self-condemnation is called hell, bondage, and restriction. Forgiveness is called heaven, harmony, and peace." The burden of guilt and self-condemnation was lifted from his mind, and he had a complete healing. The doctor tested his blood pressure, and it had become normal. The explanation was the cure. A murderer learned to forgive himself. A man who murdered his brother in Europe visited me many years ago. He was suffering from great mental anguish and torture, believing that God must punish him. He believed that his brother had been having an affair with his wife, and that he had shot him on the spur of the moment. This had happened about 15 years previous to his interview with me. In the meantime, this man had married an American girl and had been blessed with 3 lovely children. He was in a position where he helped many people, and he was a transformed man. My explanation to him was that physically and psychologically, he was not the same man who shot his brother. Since scientists inform us that every cell of our body changes every 11 months. Moreover, mentally and spiritually, he was a new man. He was now full of love and goodwill for humanity. The old man who committed the crime 15 years prior was mentally and spiritually dead. Actually, he was condemning an innocent man. This explanation had a profound effect on him, and he said it was as if this great weight had been lifted from his mind. He realized the significance of the following truth in the Bible: "Come now, let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins may be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they may be red like crimson, they shall be as wool." Isaiah 1:18. Criticism cannot hurt you without your consent. A school teacher told me that one of her associates criticized a speech she had given, saying to her that she spoke too fast, she swallowed some of her words, she couldn't be heard, her diction was poor, and her speech ineffective. This teacher was furious and full of resentment towards her critic. She admitted to me that the criticisms were just. Her first reaction was really childish, and she agreed that the letter was really a blessing and a marvelous corrective. She proceeded immediately to supplement her deficiencies in her speech by enrolling in a course in public speaking at City College. She wrote and thanked the writer of the note for her interest, expressing appreciation for her conclusions and findings, which enabled the teacher to correct the matter at once. How to be compassionate. Suppose none of the things mentioned in the letter had been true of the teacher. The latter would have realized that her class material had upset the prejudices, superstitions, or narrow sectarian beliefs of the writer of the note, and that a psychologically ill person was simply pouring forth her resentment because a psychological boil had been hurt. To understand this fact is to be compassionate. The next logical step would be to pray for the other person's peace, harmony, and understanding. You cannot be hurt when you know that you are the master of your thoughts, reactions, and emotions. Emotions follow thoughts, and you have the power to reject all thoughts which may disturb or upset you. I'm going to say this again. I love this sentence. You cannot be hurt when you know that you are the master of your thoughts, reactions, and emotions. Left at the altar. Some years ago, I visited a church to perform a marriage ceremony. The young man did not appear, and at the end of 2 hours, the bride-to-be shed a few tears, and then she said to me, I prayed for divine guidance. This might be the answer, for he never faileth. That was her reaction, faith in God, and all things good. She had no bitterness in her heart because, as she said, it must not have been the right action, because my prayer was for the right action for both of us. Someone else having a similar experience would have gone into a tantrum, having an emotional fit, required sedation, and perhaps needed hospitalization. Tune in with the infinite intelligence within your subconscious depths, trusting the answer in the same way that you trusted your mother when she held you in her arms. This is how you require poise and mental and emotional health. Is it wrong to marry? Sex is evil and I am evil. Some time ago, I talked to a young lady, aged 22. She was taught that it was a sin to dance, to play cards, to swim, and to go out with men. She was threatened by her mother, who told her she would burn eternally in hellfire if she disobeyed her will and her religious teachings. This girl wore a black dress and black stockings. She wore no rouge, lipstick, or any form of makeup because her mother said that these things were sinful. Her mother told her that all men were evil and that sex was the devil and simply a diabolic debauchery. This girl had to learn how to forgive herself because she was so full of guilt. To forgive means to give for. She had to give up all these false beliefs for the truths of life and a new estimate of herself. When she went out with young men in the office where she worked, she had a deep sense of guilt and thought that God would punish her. Several eligible men proposed to her, but she said to me, "It is wrong to marry. Sex is evil and I'm evil." This was her conscience or early conditioning speaking. She came to me once weekly for about 10 weeks, and I taught her the workings of the conscious and subconscious mind as set forth in this book. This young girl gradually came to see that she had been completely brainwashed, mesmerized, and conditioned by an ignorant, superstitious, bigoted, and frustrated mother. She broke away completely from her family and started to live a wonderful life. At my suggestion, she dressed up and had her hair attended to. She took lessons in dancing from a man, and she took driving lessons. She learned to swim and play cards and had a number of dates. She began to love he. She prayed for a divine companion by claiming that infinite spirit would attract to her a man who harmonized with her thoroughly. Eventually, this came to pass. As she left my office one evening, there was a man waiting to see me, and I casually introduced them. Now they are married and harmonized with each other perfectly. Forgiveness is necessary for healing. And when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any. Mark 11:25. Forgiveness of others is essential to mental peace and radiant health. You must forgive everyone who has ever hurt you if you want perfect health and happiness. Forgive yourself by getting your thoughts in harmony with divine law and order. You cannot really forgive yourself completely until you've forgiven others first. To refuse to forgive yourself is nothing more or less than spiritual pride or ignorance. In the psychosomatic field of medicine today, it is being constantly stressed that resentment, condemnation of others, remorse, and hostility are behind a host of maladies ranging from arthritis to cardiac arrest. They point out that these sick people who were hurt and mistreated, deceived, or injured were full of resentment and hatred for those who hurt them. This caused inflamed and festering wounds in their subconscious minds. There is only one remedy. They have to cut out and discard their hurts. And the one and only sure way is by forgiveness. Forgiveness is love in action. The essential ingredient in the art of forgiveness is the willingness to forgive. If you sincerely desire to forgive the other, you are 51% over the hurdle. I feel sure you know that to forgive the other does not necessarily mean that you like him or you want to associate with him. You cannot be compelled to like someone. Neither can a government legislate goodwill, love, peace, or tolerance. It is quite impossible to like people because someone in Washington issues an edict to that effect. We can, however, love people without liking them. The Bible says, "Love ye one another." This anyone can do who really wants to do it. Love means that you wish for the other health, happiness, peace, and joy in all the blessings of life. There is only one prerequisite, and that is sincerity. You are not being magnanimous when you forgive. You are actually being selfish, because what you wish for the other, you're actually wishing for yourself. The reason is that you are thinking it and that you are feeling it. As you think and feel, so are you. Could anything be simpler than that? Here are some techniques of forgiveness. The following is a simple method which works wonders in your life as you practice it. Quiet your mind, relax, and let go. Think of God and His love for you, and then affirm, "I fully and freely forgive." Mention the name of the offender. "I release him mentally and spiritually. I completely forgive everything connected with the matter in question. I am free, and he or she is free." It is a marvelous feeling. It is my day of general amnesty. I release anybody and everybody who has ever hurt me, and I wish for each and everyone health, happiness, peace, and all the blessings of life. I do this freely and joyously and lovingly, and whenever I think of the person or persons who hurt me, I say, "I have released you, and all the blessings of life are yours. I am free, and you are free, and it is wonderful." The great secret of forgiveness is that once you have forgiven the person, it is unnecessary to repeat the prayer. Whenever the person comes to your mind, or the particular hurt happens to enter your mind, wish the delinquent well and say, "Peace be to you." Do this as often as the thought enters your mind, and you will find after a few days the thought of the person or experience will return less and less often until it fades into nothingness. The acid test for forgiveness. There is an acid test for gold. There is also an acid test for forgiveness. If I should tell you something wonderful about someone who has wronged you, cheated you, or defrauded you, and you sizzled at hearing the good news about this person, the roots of hatred will still be in your subconscious mind, playing havoc with you. Let's suppose you had a painful abscess on your jaw a year ago, and you told me about it. I would casually ask you if you had any pain now. You would automatically say, "Of course not. I have a memory of it, but no pain." That is the whole story. You may have a memory of the incident, but no sting or hurt anymore. This is the acid test, and you must meet it psychologically and spiritually. Otherwise, you are simply deceiving yourself and not practicing the true art of forgiveness. To understand all is to forgive all. When man understands the creative law of his own mind, he ceases to blame other people and conditions for making or marring his life. He knows that his own thoughts and feelings create his destiny. Furthermore, he is aware that externals are not the cause and conditions of his life and his experiences. To think that others can mar your happiness, that you are the football of a cruel fate, that you must oppose and fight others for a living, all these and others like them are untenable when you understand that thoughts are things. The Bible says the same thing. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Proverbs 23:7. Now, before we conclude this episode, I wanted to read you one more passage from this book. It is called There is One Mind, Common to All Individual Men, Emerson. The miracle-working power of your subconscious mind existed before you and I were born, before any church or world existed. The great eternal truths and the principles of life antedate all religions. It is with these thoughts in mind that I urge you to follow these episodes, to lay hold of this wonderful, magical, transforming power, which will bind up mental and physical wounds, proclaim liberty to the fear-ridden mind, and liberate you completely from the limitations of poverty, failure, misery, lack, and frustration. All you have to do is unite mentally and emotionally with the good you wish to embody, and the creative powers of your subconscious will respond accordingly. Begin now, today. Let wonders happen in your life. Keep on, keeping on until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. Now we have some steps that Dr. Joseph Murphy gives us to summarize for the aids to forgiveness. There are 14 of them, and I'd love to read them to you. So just relax and receive these 14 reminders, and you take them with you. Number 1, God or life is no respecter of persons. Life plays no favorites. Life or God seems to favor you when you align yourself with the principle of harmony, health, joy, and peace. Number 2, God or life never sends disease, sickness, accidents, or suffering. We bring these things on ourselves by our own negative, destructive thinking, based upon the law, as we sow, so shall we reap. Number 3, your concept of God is the most important thing in your life. If you really believe in a God of love, your subconscious mind will respond in countless blessings to you. Believe in a God of love. Number 4, life or God holds no grudges against you. Life never condemns you. Life heals a severe cut on your hand. Life forgives you if you burn your finger. It reduces the edema and restores the part to wholeness and perfection. 5, your guilt complex is a false concept of God and life. God or life does not punish or judge you. You do this to yourself by your false beliefs, negative thinking, and self-condemnation. Number 6, God or life does not condemn or punish you. The forces of nature are not evil. The effect of their use depends on how you use the power within you. You can use electricity to kill someone or to light the house. You can use water to drown a child or quench his thirst. Good and evil come right back to the thought and the purpose in man's own mind. 7, God or life never punishes. Man punishes himself by his false concept of life, God, and the universe. His thoughts are creative, and he creates his own misery. 8, if another criticizes you and these faults are within you, rejoice, give thanks, and appreciate the comments. This gives you the opportunity to correct the particular fault. 9, you cannot be hurt by criticism when you know that you are the master of your thoughts, reactions, and emotions. This gives you the opportunity to pray and bless the other, therefore blessing yourself. 10, when you pray for guidance and right action, take what comes. Realize it is good and very good. Then there is no cause for self-pity, criticism, or hatred. 11, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. There is no evil in sex, the desire for food, wealth, or true expression. It depends on how you use these urges, desires, or aspirations. Your desire for food can be met without killing someone for a loaf of bread. 12. Resentment, hatred, ill will, and hostility are behind a host of maladies. Forgive yourself and everybody else by pouring out love, life, and joy and goodwill to all of those who have hurt you. Continue until such time as you meet them in your mind and you are at peace with them. 13. To forgive is to give something for. Give love, peace, joy, and wisdom, and all the blessings of life to the other until there is no sting left behind in your mind. This is really the acid test of forgiveness. And 14. Let us suppose you had an abscess in your jaw about a year ago. It was very painful. Ask yourself if it is painful now. The answer is in the negative. Likewise, if someone has hurt you, lied about you, vilified you, and said all manner of things, evil things about you, is your thought of that person negative? Do you sizzle when he or she comes to your mind? If so, the roots of hatred are still there, playing havoc with you and your good. The only way is to wither them with love by wishing for the person all the blessings of life until you can meet the person in your mind and you can sincerely react with a benediction of peace and goodwill. This is the meaning of forgive until 70 times 7. This concludes this chapter of how to use your subconscious mind for forgiveness. I love Joseph Murphy. It is so pure and just wise and to the point. And I don't want to share too much, but if we look around the world, there is so much that we can forgive. And I know from my own experience, each time I forgive something or someone, my heart expands even more. And it is really, really freeing and liberating. And all of the religions kind of go back to this. We liberate by freeing ourselves from the lower constructs, the lower feelings, the doubts, the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the depression. Non-forgiving, that's usually a doubt. So when you go to the forgiveness part, there's like a doubt that you can't arise above it, but you can. And once you really get good at forgiving, nothing sticks to you. You just flow, you're in the divine flow of the Tao. So for this week, I encourage you to forgive everything and everyone. If you're in traffic, for example, and you're sitting in there, you could choose to find some choice words or be angry, or you can choose to look at it a different way. You're sitting there, listen to a podcast, breathe, just get into a space of pure appreciation, telling you can change your reality right there. So look at everything as a little challenge, and every time to forgive someone is a chance to open your heart. So I send you so much love and light this week. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel and possibly like or comment below. I would love to hear from you. And again, I wish you so much love and light, and I will see you next time.